We ended the last episode on perhaps the biggest cliffhanger in this channel's history, which is really saying something if you think about it. And because of that cliffhanger, I get to start this episode by saying today is a very big day, which, by the way, if I end up putting out any merch this year or whatever, that has to be a shirt, right? It has to be. It's basically my number one saying. It should be engraved on my tombstone at this point. Regardless, today is a very big day because this free agent class could make or break this series. Mikko Rantanen leading the way. Some keen-eyed viewers also caught Penguins prospect Kasper Bjorkqvist, who is also available. But before we get into sending those two offers, because that is absolutely going to happen, I want to take a look at the rest of the free agent class because I backed out immediately. The second I saw Rantanen was there, I'm like, yep, cliffhanger. Back, save and exit. Done. So I didn't even bother taking a look. I don't know why I hit back there. I could have just told you what I did. I didn't have to, actually show you. Let's take a look at who else is available here. Goaltending-wise, do we have anybody? Murray, Leonard, Tuukka, but he's 36, and we've already had a fairly bad experience with an aging Finnish goaltender, regardless of how hot they may be. And in terms of prospects, Peters isn't available. Puka's the only guy. Didn't we draft him? Didn't we draft Kai Puka? We drafted him, didn't we? We did. Huh. I still don't think I'm going to bring him back, though, because he's not going to develop. Now, I do want to take a look at the team, totally not as a reminder to me, but to remind you. I know how forgetful you all are. I just cannot speak. I don't know what the hell the thing was either, but that's okay. We're going to make it through this. Why? Because I have stuff to do and need to limit the amount of edits I make. So let's take a look. Goaltending-wise, we know we have Ranta between the pipes for this next season. He is still not tradable, but we do need a backup goaltender. And I can't help but think that Rask would be a half-decent signing if we can get him for 1 year. That would bring us up to 6 goaltenders as well. We're obviously not going to be signing Hakkarainen to start off. So I think we'll go for Tuukka Rask here. Hopefully get him on a 1-year deal. And hopefully he doesn't decline that heavily, because that would be devastating, and if he does, he'll just end up being a bit of a cap dump, I gotta be honest. So, Tuukka. Let's make this happen. Now, he wants a 2-year deal, so I'm probably gonna bump that up to 2.5. I mean, if Cam Ward can make $3 million from Chicago, then why can't Tuukka sign for 2.5? So what we are going to do with Rask here, of course, we are going to look to spin the wheel, and it is fairly straightforward on this occasion. Either I am allowed to trade him immediately if it lands on a 0, or I have to stay loyal to him for the year, and Rask would be tradable, which would be very nice if we are outside of the playoff structure. So that is a decent little win for us if Rask is signing with us. Actually, I don't even have to make a mark. I can just be like, yeah, fuck it, he's tradable. So that's good. Defensively, there won't be any big names, but is there anybody available in general? And I gotta be honest, it's not looking all that great here, is it? Damn. Bernard Docker, Pouliot, Zaitsev, nobody. Now, the good thing is our defense isn't all that bad as it stands, but we are getting absolutely no help. We will take a look at the prospects that are available. Turco is in no way Finnish. I'd be shocked. Yeah, he's American. I'd like to think, though. I'd like to think, though. Keandre Miller. Man, this is what happens when I'm like, okay, I'm on a good run. I don't want to restart the episode. Let's just forge ahead. This is what happens. Bernard Docker. Rasainen, he is Finnish. He's not going to be very good, though. I just noticed. Not very good at all. Do we have anybody else? I think we have 2 Swedes in a row. Hayek's not available. Yeah, we're kind of screwed. No defensive help whatsoever. I'll have to sign some random players there to help fill out the roster, but that's okay. And as a matter of fact, let's go take a look at that defensive situation now that we know that absolutely no help is on the way. And of course, forward-wise, we already know at least 2 of the players that are on their way, but we'll sort that out in just a moment. So defensively, it's going to be Risto, Nidivara, Kervainen, Nokalainen, Kuka, Laaksonen, and then either Heinola, Lavalainen, Tiervainen's up there as well if we sign him. But you don't necessarily have to. So, I mean, right now, let's see, we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. In fairness, we don't need any other defensemen. We're golden right now. So the rest that we need is just forward depth. Let's see who we can bring in. We know 2 of the names that we're going to be trying to bring in, and hopefully we can get the job done. So let's do this, shall we? Let's go for the biggest free agent signing that we will possibly ever see in this series. Money-wise, it could be an absolute backbreaker to make sure that we secure his rights, but we have to sign Rantanen. We have to. It doesn't even matter if he's underperforming. We have to sign him just to have the capabilities of potentially moving him as well if the money is a bit too crippling. 60 and 70 points. Did put up 92 points in the second season of this sim. So we're getting ready to head into season 6. So, yeah, we got to go for Rantanen. Oh, boy. If I go to 7, the money goes up, unfortunately. So we pretty much have to stay at the 5. 14 million over 5 years. I'm so tempted to offer him even more than that because of how much he means to this team. That's a tough one. At what point is it diminishing returns and, you know, in terms of like, okay, we're crippling our team and his trade value is affected because of how expensive he is. 14 million over 5 years. Would that be enough? No other teams are interested right now, but the problem is, of course, you can't readjust offers based off of what other teams are doing. 14.25 or 14.5. I'm going to play it safe. I have to. I'm so tempted to go to 15, but I'm going to go to 14.5 over 5 years and pray, absolutely pray to whoever needs to be prayed to that this works. Let's do it. So if Rantanen signs, it is a 5-year contract. So let's take a look here. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what kind of restrictions there would be on trading Mikko Rantanen if he signs. Oh boy, that's rough. If Mikko Rantanen signs this contract, we are not allowed to trade him. Holy hell. Well, talk about having that money to potentially trade him. Maybe not, because if he signs that deal, he stays, and that is going to drastically affect this team. Wow. I mean, again, on the bright side, if we have to spend this much money on a player, it might as well be someone of his caliber, but still, that could heavily limit what we're able to do moving forward. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. In terms of any other Swedes, the only one, or Swedes in terms of Finns, I was going to say we have some Swedes on the list. In terms of any other Finns right now, Kasper Bjorkqvist is the last one available. Not the most consistent point producer, but he is still the type of player that we absolutely need. So we'll look to bring him aboard too. He's looking for 3. We're going to go 3 by 5 by 3 if he accepts that. So let's input the offer and we go back to the wheel, which I can't say was all that kind to us a moment ago. But let's see what happens here. Excuse me. With Rantanen, if he signs, we have to stay loyal to him for the entire contract as well. The wheel making things a little bit difficult, even though it's a little bit more of a guarantee that we would have been loyal to these players no matter what. So that is pretty crazy. Of course, Gustav Nyquist is not available. You have Bertschke, Evgeny Malkin down to an 83. I know right now we're sorted by money asked for as opposed to overall. Doesn't make too much of a difference. Nikita Sherbak is not going to be available. Unfortunately, Cahoon, Yegor Korshkov, Ferlin, Leipzig, Jenner. All right, from here it's looking a little bit rough, and I actually am just going to sort by overall. So Nylander, Kasha, Turris. Do we have anybody else? Harrington? Holy shit. Carolina, what are you doing? Are you insane? He's on an ELC. My God, the AIGMs need a lot of work in the intelligence department. Good Lord. Arturi Lehkonen will be brought back. We mentioned that at the end of the last episode that there was a decent chance of it. And I'm going to try to go $2 million for 1 year. I'm not sure what his value is going to be. If he has a lot of value and I'm tempted to trade him, I'll spin the wheel to decide if I'm allowed to. But, or at least hopefully I remember to do that. But he's not making that much, and I don't think his value is going to be that high. it might not even be second-round pick worthy. Jonas Donskoy, we will also be looking to bring him back. Looking for 2 years. You know what? I'm okay with that. Let's go 2 years at 225. You know what? I might just spin the wheel anyway. So we'll go 2 years for Donskoy, the 1 year for Lehkonen. Let's do this. I want to be thorough, damn it. I want to be thorough. Arturi Lehkonen, are we allowed to trade you in this first season? We are. So Lehkonen does not get added to the list. And with Jonas Donskoy, let's see what we're dealing with here. Sent him a 2-year deal. If he accepts, are we allowed to trade him? Yes, we are, but only in the last year of his deal. So he will be alongside Nokalainen in terms of players we're allowed to trade after this upcoming season. That would bring us up to 39. Actually, technically 40, maybe. Nope, that would bring us up to 39. My bad. I'm trying to think of how many forwards we have, basically. Got to sign a couple of more players, which is fairly obvious. Calle Jarnkrok is not available. I always see that name, and I always hope, but no. Lindbergh's not available. Virta will be on his way back. He's not going to have any value. Unlike Lehkonen, doesn't really have any value, so I'm going to bring him back. Donskoy was a little bit more expensive than the $2 million flat, so it made sense to include him into that deal. Bittner, Nemesnikov is not going to be there. Lafferty, Vinny Hinostroza, Backlund, and Amadio. Who else here? The good thing is we're still somewhat up there in terms of the overalls right now. So we'll find somebody helpful. Juho Lammikko will be on his way back. Again, I had a feeling I'd be bringing back a lot of familiar faces, but it made sense to free everything up a little bit, just in case there were some strong players on the free agent list. And surprise, surprise, there was. Do we have anybody else? Suomela will also be signed. Yeah, they tried to, wherever he was, they tried to trade him to us, right? And I said, hey, maybe we'll sign him. I'm going to offer him a 1-year deal at about $175. And again, I don't think we'll do the wheel spin for him. We really should set, like, okay, it has to be this much money. Some people have said 2 or 3 million. Some people have said more. I suppose we really should set a hard cap on, okay, if he gets paid more than this, you spin the wheel. That'd be helpful. Not saying we're being selective right now, because the players where I'm not spinning the wheel for, it's not as if they're all that valuable. Tamala, you need to be signed. I'm going to go 1 year at $175. I can afford to throw a little bit of money around because I'm still going to have to sign a veteran to fill out the roster. That'll bring us up to 43 contracts. And I think I want to bring in one more person at least. Ostap is not available. And Mika Salomaki, congratulations. You're on your way back. We'll give you a max 2-way deal. And with that, I think we're good. Wow, Jordan Stahl. Is that Jordan Stahl? Jesus. I'm like, wait a minute. Is Jared Stahl still somehow in the game? Did he turn it around? Brutal decline. Let's hope he doesn't decline like that in Carolina. Please. I think we're good in terms of all the available options. I think we are. So, moment of truth here to see what happens. Oh, God. Let me double-check the scouts just to make sure we're full. Okay, we are. Jesus, this is nerve-wracking. Here we go. If menu lag wants me to, let's find out what happens. Tuukka Rask has signed. Lammikko has signed. Lehkonen has signed. Salomaki has signed. Donskoy has signed. Suomela has signed. Tamala has signed. Bjorkqvist. Virta, come on, you're making me wait. Please. Yes, thank God. Whoo, Mikko Rantanen, welcome aboard. Did we overspend, overpay? Probably. But we have a 94 overall top line winger. Every single player we targeted ended up signing. That is massive. Even if we can't trade Rantanen and Bjorkqvist, I don't care. That leaves us with just under $16 million to spend. I will still sign a random vet just to make sure we're good on that front. You don't want to mess around with being below the cap floor because, again, it auto-reassigns the salary cap that everybody has, or the cap hit that everybody has, and you can end up getting in a lot of trouble because of that. So I don't want to even flirt with the idea of being under the limits. Hutala, congratulations. You will be signed. And unfortunately, this is going to take a little bit. Again, I still love the FIFA system of just being able to hit Y and then, changing each numeral on its own. I want to make sure I leave us with some space in case something comes up in terms of a trade. About $9 million for him, and we should be good. So this team, speaking of good, this team is looking pretty damn good. And depending on what happens here in terms of player development, we could be taking another massive step forward. We still have to rely on Ranta, which is a little bit shaky, but still, I like the way this team's looking like right now in terms of, you think of this, the top line between Capo Kakko, Simon Taival, Brad Lambert, Rantanen, Bjorkqvist now is in the top 6 as well. It's coming together. Whew, I am so excited to see what this team looks like. Come on, loading times. If I have to wait, you have to wait. That sinking feeling in the pit of my chest of just, come on, finish loading. The season changed in the top left-hand corner. We're looking all right. We're looking good. I'm feeling good. I think we got this. Come on. Please. Please. Please just load. I just want to see how good my team is. Thank you. All right, let's double check this. The first thing to check, I suppose, before we even ponder trying to put together a lineup, are unsigned players, because that one defenseman probably took a big step forward. He's up to an 80. Oh my God, and Kiprusoff's a 79. They both have to be signed. They both have to be. Or do they? I mean, technically they don't have to be. And they'd still develop being unsigned. That's the real question, is do I just hold off for a year? I suppose it depends on what this lineup looks like. So defensively, or goaltending-wise, we have Ranta, who's an 83, and Rask, who's an 81. It's a good idea to sign him, though. Very good idea to sign him. So Laxo, I'm going to make sure is in the lineup. It's going to be Laxo and probably Makiniemi. Although I don't think he's going to get any better, and Justice could get a little bit better. I'm going to call up Makiniemi, and we're going to roll with Anuen and Laxo, I should say, as our two goaltenders down in the AHL. Defensively, it's Risto, Nidivara, Kurvainen, Nokalainen, Heinola, and Kuka. Laaksonen will be on the outs, unfortunately, and so will Lavalainen. So that is the defense as it stands. Not too bad. We'll see what that... Oh yeah, there's no reason to sign that other defenseman. We have too many players. We'll leave probably both of them unsigned for the year. And then forward-wise, Rantanen, Kakko, Simon Taival, Lambert, Bjorkqvist, and then it'll probably be either Repo or Lehkonen rounding out the top 6. That's 10, 11, and 12 with Yoel Armia. Although Tamala's good to go as well. Tamala? Not sure which. He would also be good to go. Virta and Armia both listed as depth forwards. That Armia signing's kind of rocky, but we are allowed to trade him. Oh, man. Virta. I don't know. I don't know who I want to sign here, or who I want to play, because technically we are going to have one player too many. I suppose we can see what the defense is going to look like in full. So again, Nudivara, Aristo, Nokalainen, Kurvainen, Heinola, and Kuka. It's not too bad. Kuka's a medium 4, as is Heinola. I mean, really, they all are, outside of Kurvainen, who's a low elite. Not too bad. And then forward-wise, as a healthy scratch, it actually has Armia as a healthy scratch, which is kind of crazy. And you know what? I really don't disagree with it. He is very well-rounded, though. By default, it puts Virta at center, but that's because he's actually listed as a center. And hell, it puts Lambert on the top line over Kakko. So we're going to have to rework some things here. Who has the best offensive awareness? 85 for Lehkonen, 86 for Repo, 88 for Virta, though. Okay, so it's going to come down to one of these three. Repo, the shot is lacking, but the playmaking ability is there. Lehkonen's a bit more well-rounded, as, man, Virta has crazy shot power. But we're going to be having probably Lambert on the second line. So as it is, Lambert is probably better suited as a playmaker. Bjorkqvist right now could be either, also probably better suited as a playmaker. Could still have him as a two-way. So technically we need a sniper. It's either going to be Lehkonen or Virta, and it should probably be Virta because of the shot power. So I think, shockingly, we're going to pretty much keep the team the same. And let's see, no one who was supposed to be on the third line. I mean, granted, most of them are, but Donskoy, a bit more defensive. I'm just double checking the defensive abilities here. I suppose it really doesn't matter. Everybody involved in the bottom six is honestly looking fairly well rounded. Tamala has ridiculous offensive abilities, though. Suomela is pretty well rounded. Let's see, Lehkonen and Repo. I want Tamala to be on a higher line, and then it's just a matter of who joins him. Lambico, again, well-rounded, decent offense. Suomela has a slightly better shot. Suomela has the best shot on that fourth line. Repo at that 86 offensive. I think that's going to be the way it's set up here. So can either of you play center? Tamala can, and then fourth line, put Donskoy there. Suomela is already going to be there. I think we're good. I might have to rework this a little bit. But yeah, we're looking pretty good. Who has the harder shot? Rantanen. So it's going to be Kakko, Simon Taival, and Rantanen. Bjorkqvist, Virta, Lambert, Lehkonen, Tamala, and Repo, Lambico, Suomela, and Donskoy. It's not that bad. Not at all. Now, I might have to change positions just for the sake of best lines, you know, to get the power play and everything as well up to scratch, but that's what the team's going to be looking like this year. So then down in the AHL, technically I could send down Armia. Of course, in this series, unlike in the Carolina series, we don't have morale on. So Armia, I'm going to send him down, and we'll at least let him play and hopefully tear things up down in the AHL. Not the way I thought he would pan out for us, really. So Tommy Hutala, who we signed, is currently there. Do we have anybody else to put into the lineup? Because Emil Jar, is not our player. So we're hurting a little bit at forward. Technically, we do have space for a certain forward to be signed, but I don't think we have to necessarily worry about that. I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal. I do think, though, I want to play everybody based off of their overalls. So, let's see, between Sorella and Altonen, it really doesn't matter who plays there. Let's go with you, and that'll be the basic team setup, I think. Nothing too crazy down in the AHL, but still, the pieces are coming together, slowly but surely. And actually, I think I'm going to drop Nordgren down. So let's see what we have here. Best center, let's go with Jokinen. Better defensive abilities. So it'll be Armia, Koivunen, and Salamaki. With Koivunen at center, even though he's not the greatest. Not the best lineup by any stretch of the imagination. And I imagine here that we're going to have some players where it's going to make sense to drop them as opposed to running with a better lineup. So Kokkonen, unfortunately, is the top option to have be a healthy scratch. Anthony Honka isn't even in the lineup right now. Low elite Toskala needs to get into the lineup, no doubt about it. Kimo Pirnes might also be on the way out for Niskala. He is not. So we do have a little bit of extra defensive depth where it might make sense to try and get something for them now. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's tough. I don't want to go too crazy with trades, but Kokkonen, Honka, and Niskala. So really, getting rid of two defensemen would make sense. Now, I am going to have to pause the video in a moment because I'm going to, just make a jump cut when I'm updating things, but I wanted to get you guys a look, of course, at how this team is shaping up because we are going to get into the sim here to start, but in terms of defensemen, none of these guys are going to have a ton of value anyway. Outside of Rantanen, of course. Tyrväinen's not going to be signed. We'll let him be for one more season. So yeah, those low fours, Honkanen and Kokkonen, might be worth something. Or we continue to let them develop and get rid of the likes of Rantanen and Lavalainen, who are higher overalls, but really serve no benefit to us at this point. Oskari Laaksonen as well could be worth letting go of. I think we've kind of developed beyond that trio. I mean, I could keep one of them, just to have the AHL be in as good of hands as possible. But, yeah, Laaksonen signed for 2 seasons as well. We've developed our defense beyond the need for these players. So I want to get the most that I can for Laaksonen. I'm going to keep those 2. Although I highly doubt Kuokkanen and Honka are going to develop into being that good of defensemen. That low 4 potential this year is very disappointing. So right now I'm having to choose whether or not I think those 2 will develop, or do I keep the higher overalls? And I got to be honest, I'm going to bank on Kuokkanen and Honka not developing. I'm going to try to get as much back for them as I possibly can. So the Bruins are looking, but they're at 48 contracts, so I doubt that goes through. I want to try and get as much value back as I can. Hopefully there's a team here that's interested and that has open contract spots. So that is not the case. Damn it. Well, Boston might work. Technically, it still could. Let's find out. I'm just going to tack on a first for the hell of it. Yeah, that would be too many. Right. I don't want to have to go on the hunt for teams that, need defensemen or have fins to give up. Dallas, I know you're not interested, but I would be interested in working out a deal here. I doubt that goes through. It didn't. Not even in the right ballpark. I mean, well, the values are close, though. We do have that extra second-round pick and an extra first-round pick this year already. So I'm going to try to swing that third-rounder with them. And we're going to look to move up, although, again, it's not very likely with a lot of these teams. What about Ottawa? Nope. Okay. I need to find a team that's interested and a team that has a fin to really try and make this work. So Boston might be the perfect target here. It's just whether or not they have a really low-value Finnish player that we can take back in the deal. Let's find out. Senyshyn's not looking too good. Kirby Reichel. Unfortunately, they do not. And again, I don't want this to be, a 50-minute process here, trying to find one trade, but it could end up being that. They were the only team with 48. Otherwise, I'm going to have to rely on a team with 49 contracts, and I might technically have to take back 2 people. Hey, Pakarainen's not signed. Damn it. So close yet so far. If I can't find anybody early here, I don't think it's going to happen in general. Carolina, please. Gigi, Luotsarainen, Matheos, Lindberg, Gustafson. Luotsarainen? Are you available? Holy shit, you are. I don't care how long you're signed for. Oh boy. Okay, is there another one? Is there another one? This dude. I mean, you have to be, and you are. You have a little bit more value than I would have preferred. But we should be able to get something back here now in terms of value. They don't want to trade any of their higher picks. Kill me. Second rounder. Rejected. Fuck. Oh, man. This is going to be a bit problematic, right? I need to find a team like Columbus. Okay, nope, they don't want to trade their picks. What about LA? Do you want to trade? Oh, my God. This isn't going to happen, is it? This isn't going to happen. New Jersey. Hey. Oh, God, you got like nothing left. Do you want to trade your picks next year? Of course you don't. Yep, I think we're stuck with these guys. I think we're pretty much stuck with them. You can't say I didn't try, but we are stuck with them. I'll be back in a minute when the lineup is set, and we'll get going on the season sim. All right, the team is set, and we are good to get underway with the start of, I believe, again, our 6th season. The only real changes, at least in terms of player types, would have been to the likes of Jani Tamala, who is now a playmaker, and Suomela's a sniper. No changes to anybody in the top 6, but again, now Capo Caco's a left wing, so we can do this. And it actually kept almost everything the same. It actually puts up Tamala to the second line, which is interesting. But now the power play and the 4-on-4 lines, everything like that, will be a little bit better for us. So, feeling pretty good as far as what this team's looking like in terms of captaincy as well. I don't know. Do we change it? It's such a minor thing, but I feel like it might need some updating. I mean, I don't think Risto can be captain anymore. Maybe he can be? I think that's a tough call. You know what? I don't think I'm going to name a captain in this episode. I think we'll run with Kakko, of course, Rantanen, and Ristolainen as 3 alternates. And you guys let me know. What do you think? Who should be turned into captain heading into, I mean, potentially the playoffs, but more than likely heading into next season? Let's sim forward to our first preseason game. Double check what the overalls of this roster currently are. And then we will get underway with this sim. Again, could it be a very special year for this squad? 93, 91, 88. We can't accurately compare them to Columbus's attributes, of course. With being a preseason game, it's fairly obvious that they have some weaker people in the lineup. But we're looking strong. Humble beginnings for this team with that expansion draft, but we're looking strong. Let's see what we can do. The season about ready to get underway. I don't know what to expect, because this is the type of roster where if you run into the squad in the playoffs, you would say, that AI team's going to beat me, aren't they? I could easily see that happening. But when you have this type of team as a user, it's tough to say how the sim's going to favor you, if it will at all. The good thing is, there's really nothing that I'd want to change about this roster. I mean, we have a couple of players that we could look to offload, but for once, basically the majority of the AI teams, they're doing a much better job in terms of balancing their roster. Like, we don't have too many teams that only have 38 players, right? Like, in last year's game, you would constantly... Wow, it's a terrible start to the season. Like, in last year's game, you would constantly see teams with 38 contracts and be nearly, over the cap by 5 mil until they made adjustments and sent people down on waivers. So the AI does a much better job this year overall in terms of managing that balancing act. But, I'm okay with that, basically. I'm all right with not being able to dump every player with value to an opposing team without either having to work for it or just in general by not being able to pull it off because they're actually relatively smart. Of course, trading for us is a little bit complicated in that we are limited to just Finns, so it either takes a lot of searching or we default in trading for draft picks. And of course, if we look at the 2 guys we were willing to trade, I mean, really, there were 2 different groups of two groups of 2 that we were contemplating trading, either for the overalls or the higher trade value with Honka and Kuokkanen. It could have gone either way, I suppose, but it's limiting. It's limiting, as opposed to being like, oh, okay, we're going to try to trade them for a half-decent Finnish prospect. No, that's not going to happen. Those the medium top 4s, the medium top 6 players, they have way too high a value to pull off those trades. Ryan Spooner is not Finnish. So, no, I really should have turned that off. I say that every episode. One of these days, I am going to remember. Jesus Christ, Philadelphia. One of these days, I am going to remember to turn off AI trade offers because they are so infrequently going to offer me somebody that I'd actually like to pick up. If we look at what we're doing this season, we are closing in on a 500 record, technically 1 game back because of the overtime loss. If we can beat the Leafs, who are off to a good start, and we could not, we could have tied it up at 12-12. A loss to New Jersey does not help either, but at least we get that pity point. I am so tempted to look at the draft class, but I think I'm going to hold off until we get to deadline day, because this could be the biggest deadline day for us yet if we pull off the right moves at the right time. Say if it's looking like we're not in the playoff spot, maybe we look to move somebody. If we are in a playoff spot, And the big thing here, too, of course, is there might not be a Finnish player in the first round. It's a possibility. There might not be a good Finnish player in the first round, which, if we're out of the playoffs, our trade, the trade value on that pick would have that much more value, and we'd be able to capitalize on that and potentially pull off a trade for somebody. So, it's a wait-and-see deal for us right now. As we look to wrap up December, welcome to January 2024, where we have a 15-17-4 record. Helsinki not exactly doing too well. Apparently I missed when they made the playoffs, which isn't surprising. I have such tunnel vision and, such tunnel vision on the main team and such low expectations for that AHL club that it wouldn't be all that surprising. I often do overlook the AHL. I don't know why. I just do. 16-19-4. We do beat Carolina. Not too bad. I think we'll get an update on how the team's doing as we get closer to February, or I might just wait until deadline day to be the outright stopping point for us to take a look at everything, the way players are developing. I'm very intrigued at how those 2 unsigned players are developing. Obviously, we're going to have some help at the NHL level on both offense and defense next season, which is huge for us to have those guys developing as well as they are. We're on a decent little win streak here, 4 games. We've won 5 out of our last 6. Can we beat the Canucks? They have a winning record thus far. I'm not looking at the draft class. I'm not giving in to temptation just yet. We beat Vancouver. Can we beat Boston? Yes, we can. Beautiful. In one day, we had to travel from Espoo to Boston. That's torture. Just don't think of it that way. Carter Verhaeghe, you are very much not finished. Calle Armkrok went back to Nashville. Fortunately, not finished. Won't be signing you. 24-20-4. Solid record. Now to 25 wins and technically over 500. Let's keep it going. Let the good times roll. No reason to stop just yet. A lot could change over this next month in terms of how we're looking on the season, what the playoff picture is, potential trades that could be made available to us. We're going to hold off as we've won 3 out of 5 in the past week or so. Technically now it's 2-2 in this month. I do not want Carter Verhaeghe. Leave me alone. I know. I get it. Former Maple Leaf, but no, leave me alone. 5-0 win over Dallas. The Leafs still over 500. We beat them too. My God, the run we have been on over the past month and a half. I do not want Sonnenberg, especially because I'm not allowed to trade Nudivara for 2 more seasons. So leave me alone, okay? Thank you. Can we get our 30th win of the season here against Arizona? Please. I don't want Shane Gersich. Thank you. Can we beat Arizona? Please? Maybe? Wow, that's taken a while. Hey, there we go. 30 wins on the year. Is that the first time we've hit 30? I feel like it is. So we end up losing to Buffalo. Just a week and a half to go before deadline day. Couple of big wins against Pittsburgh and Washington. We play Ottawa, San Jose, and Columbus coming up. And right now, we're in a playoff spot. We have to be. They're not giving up on Verhaeghe. Well, correction, they are giving up on Verhaeghe. They're not giving up on their quest to trade him to me. I don't want Sonnenberg, especially for Risto. Makes me wonder. I mean, granted, there was a first-round pick in there, so makes me wonder how valued Sonnenberg is. Bonino, no thank you. Can we beat Columbus, or will we lose 3 in a row heading into March and approaching deadline day? Let's find out. I don't want Shane Gersich. Thank you. Can we beat the Blue Jackets? Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, 4-2. Beautiful. 33-26-4 on deadline day. We have to be in a playoff spot. We're not. But man, is this division close. Wow. All right. We are technically 1 point out of second place in the division. That is an insane race right now, especially with the Atlantic holding that top wildcard spot. Boston's still very much in this. This is going to be a crazy month and a half or so in terms of this stretch and who's going to make the playoffs. Capocacco, 19 points, 19 goals, 29 assists. Simon Taval leading the team. Rantanen on 29 goals. Second line, only 20 points for Bjorkqvist. Virta with 29 assists, absolute monster. Brad Lambert's hit 20 goals. Third line, Lekkonen's doing okay. Tamela could be doing a little bit better. Repo, nice. Fourth line, Lamiko with 12 points. Swalmano's doing okay, as is Donskoy. Not too bad. We might be able to rework these lines just a little bit. Like, I'm a little bit worried about Bjorkqvist, but at the end of the day, I am okay with it. I think for the most part, we're fine. We could bump up Suomela as opposed to Tamala, but I'll leave it the way it is. Or Tamela, I guess it would be. And defensively, Nidivara's been okay. He and Risto haven't been great. Kervinen and Nokalainen have been pretty strong. Yeah, there's room to change some things up here. I don't necessarily want to drop Nidivara or Risto down, and I won't. But their play is a little bit concerning. Ranta's been average. Rask has been pretty good, but only 15 appearances on the year. There's no denying we could add some players here. We have the assets to do so. It's just whether or not we can find somebody at a cheap enough price. The big question is whether or not we have anybody available in the top of this draft. And so far, it's not looking like it. Is there any... Wow. Okay, so Jokinen is the top-rated guy. I can see why. Damn. Very well-rounded, but a medium top 6. There's also Joakim Martins, who's not as good, but also not terrible. This would be the draft to try and use this first-round pick. God, I wish Glenn Parks was available. If there is somebody that we can pick up that is better than those 2 prospects that we could draft, it would be worth trading that first-round pick because we also have Florida's. And even if Florida's is lower, we could then use a second-round pick to try and make something happen. So the big question is there a team that has a top Finnish player on the trade block? Now, again, they don't always have to be on the trade block, but it helps so much because of the reduced value that those players have. Like I said, if I ever want to be like, oh, I want to trade for Patrick Laine, it's never going to happen because they're never going to want to trade him, and that takes like a top player and 3 to 4 first-round picks, and it's just not worth it. But we do know, case in point, that good players can end up on the block. It's just a matter, hello, Teuvo. 6 years left, though, at 6-1, but Teuvo Teravainen is an option. And then we'd have to decide if we want to be loyal to that, and we'd have to spin the wheel as a result, too. I'll remember Teravainen. Let's keep looking. But right now, he is the top option. Anton Olsen and Alex Holt's not available to us. Verada? Nope. Parrish, Tanaka. I mean, at least we have a decision to make, right? Is that Lee? Lucas Lee. Close enough. Korea and Vijay. Not quite. Minnesota. I am going to look at goaltenders afterwards, by the way. Ryan Paling, Colin Farmer Osborne, and Bengoa. Bengoas, we know they're 50-50. We don't get the reference. Seattle Sea Cattle Series. Check it out. It's in a playlist, as are all of my videos on the channel. They are in playlists. Check them out. My content is perfect for, what the hell's... Why can't I think of the word? Binge watching. There we go. No, I'm awake. What are you talking about? I'm on top of my game today. Come on. Give me some credit. Why would you think I wasn't on top of my game today when I can't think of the term binge watching? Damn. Oh, I wish one of you were Finnish. Oh my god. Ooh, I wish. How I wish. Oh my god, quit taunting me with all these non-Finns. Jesus. And then again, no Laine. So like I said, I mean, obviously Laine would be too much, right? But we've used the Vesalainen example too. He'd be way too expensive. So right now, the only... Samsonov and Vanasek don't work. The only real option we would have is whether or not we want to trade that first round pick to try and get Teuvo Teravainen. My one issue with Teravainen, he's a little bit expensive, but in terms of adding somebody else into that top 6, now Virta hasn't been that bad, but you bump Virta down to the third line, now we're cooking. So that it could be worth it, and he's not all that expensive. I mean, technically, we might even be able to get something back on the deal. Grubauer doesn't work. Kuiper isn't worth it anyway. No elite Finnish goalies on the block. The two, of course, that you would think of both turned into absolute monsters, so it's not really all that surprising. Tuukka went to Chicago. Shestyorkin, Parsons, Subban, Byron Fancy. Just a great name. All right, so if we're going to make a trade here, it is going to be for Teuvo Teravainen. could be an addition in the top 6 that we need. He has 46 points this year, was capable of a 71-point season not all that long ago. No doubt with that offensive awareness and those puck skills, he would fit into the top 6. The big question is, can we trade for him? Yes. Are we going to be able to get him on a discount? Probably not. I doubt they'd be looking to retain cap. 6 years as well. So what we are going to do is to really make this decision, because we're going to end this episode here, and I want to leave it up to you guys. The next episode will either be our first ever playoff series, or it will be the draft. But I want to leave it up to you. I'm going to spin the wheel to see how long we would have to stay loyal to Teuvo Teravainen if we trade for him. And that way, you will know whether or not it's really worth making that deal, or if we just hold on to that first-round pick. We would have to stay loyal for the entire contract. I can't help but think that the vote is going to be no, thanks to that development. But let me know what you think. There should be a poll linked in the description. If I remember to have a poll, I'm going to make them right now while I'm making this video. There you go. That's your evidence. That is your evidence. Teuvo trade. It'll say yes or it will say no. Again, we would have to stay loyal to him for 6 years. And then in terms of captaincy, is it going to be Capo Caco? Is it going to be Mikko Rantanen, or is it going to be Risto? Let me know what you think. Those 2 polls will be in the description. So it's either we hold on to that first round pick, or we use it. Now, in fairness, we could use it later on. We could trade down at the draft. But what do you think? Is Teuvo Teravainen a missing piece to the puzzle if we have to stay loyal to that contract? There may be a chance as well of me trying to find landing spots. Oh my God, Teravainen. There may be a chance of me trying to find landing spots for some of those prospects we were talking about earlier. And I do want to take a look at this forward prospect as well, now that we've seen that Teravainen's turned into a beast. Again, we're not going to sign him this year. Oh my God, those 2 are going to be amazing at the NHL level next year. Keep that in mind. Teravainen might not be needed because Jussi Kiprusoff might be ready to take over that top 6 role as soon as next season. It could be done. It might be overkill to get Teuvo, but it could put us into amazing contention next year to get somebody of that caliber. And again, when you look at what we have this year, we might make the playoffs, but with Teravainen, we probably will. If we don't, though, that first-round pick could have some real value. And think about that. With Kiprusoff in the top 6, we'd be looking really damn good. But here's another thing to ponder. Bjorkqvist is going to stand out as an elite third liner. So next year, the top 6 could be completed with Kiprusoff here, Teravainen, and Lambert. Round that out with Rantanen, Simon Taval, and Kakko in the top 6. That is deadly. So there is a lot to think about. It would be a hell of a commitment, but there are positives and negatives to potentially acquiring Teuvo Teravainen. We will find out what happens in the next one. Will it be a playoff episode? Will it be a draft episode? Will it be both? Time will tell. Thank you guys for supporting the series. You know the deal. The likes and the subscribings and checking out everything in the description. You guys know what to do. Every YouTuber tells you to do it. I don't like considering myself a YouTuber, but I've been doing this for almost 4 goddamn years. I probably should start. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Until then, and then after that, and the next day, and the next day, and...